Hi everyone, and welcome to the All Things ITSM Global Podcast. We're coming to you from ITSM15 in London. I'm Kirsty McGowan, I'm here with Rob Stroud.
Hello everyone.
Simone Moore.
Hi everyone.
And we're here with Juha Berghäll from Service Flow. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
So welcome to the podcast, and I guess the first question for some of the viewers out there is, what does Service Flow actually do?
Well, we provide a SaaS solution for service integration, meaning that we help IT service buyers and IT service vendors to integrate their tools and processes.
Right.
And where are you seeing the sweet spot for the solution?
Well, of course, there has to be some outsourcing going on. So that basically I would say that the companies that have outsourced for multiple vendors and try to manage or build in the SIAM framework. So there's some process integration needed.
Right. So it's almost like one of the approaches I was thinking is if you've got multiple vendors and you're trying to integrate like service desks or even information, bringing it together in a SIAM type model. Is that a good analogy?
Yes.
Interesting. And how have you found the conference so far?
Well, it seems that there's a need on the market. Like guys, James Finister and Martin Gobel is talking about how to run SIAM framework, and then there's those nice little arrows going from the picture for the external service providers, and those arrows are the things that we enable.
So you're the arrows between the boxes in James's presentation.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Very good.
Now we totally get it.
If you get James's presentation, then you should get it.
But you're the link,
Yeah.
is what you're saying,
Yeah,
between a lot of that. The glue.
Yeah.
Okay, even better. But hang on, now you don't want to be too gluey, do you? Because you're going to enable the flexibility.
Yeah, exactly.
So what have you found as being the biggest challenge then in looking at the projects and companies that you work with?
Well, again, it's on the process part, process and people. Without the vision, how the companies want to work with the vendors, it's pretty hard to put in some technology. It doesn't solve that problem.
No.
So do you kind of bring, if I'm using the tool sets, are you trying to bring all the information into one visualized area for me, or what's the real benefit I get?
I think that the first thing is that these parties in service supply chain are able to use their own tools and run their own processes instead of using other people's tools and trying to adapt to other parties' processes.
Yes.
There was at one of the other conferences, I was seeing your demo. You had a film running, and it was traffic corners and how that was all operating.
Yeah.
What do you think then is the main message that we're trying to get across to the organisations when it comes to what's happening with their traffic and how they're moving it?
Yeah, I think that the main thing is that you need to get control in order to, you have your businesses and end users that you should somehow serve. But if you don't know what's going on, it's pretty hard to provide services. So the first thing when you're thinking about outsourcing is to get in control, get the transparency, what's going on within the vendors, and also what's going on between the vendors. For instance, incident management starting from vendor number 1 and going to 2, but you are still responsible as a IT department to deliver the service. So you need to know what's going on.
But is part of that issue then where if I've received the call at the service desk and we've has to escalate to the vendor for some reason or other, we do lose control and visibility a lot, or that has been the case in the past, but yet we're still having to do the relationship with our customer. But vendors don't always want to share what's going on inside their system.
Yeah. Well, I think that's about SIAM as well, because then we need to have the interoperability and the kind of transparency between the vendors as well. But also with Service Flow, we can choose what information and data is exchanged.
Okay, that makes much more sense.
Yes.
So we still then have information security where it's required, but we then still have the visibility that allows the conversation with the customer to solution.
And it also comes down to who is responsible. So there's the client who have outsourced the services. So I would say that the client and service buyer should be on the driver's seat. However, even though you are in SIAM model,
Sure.
You cannot outsource responsibility.
I'm curious about one thing now. SIAM's been around for a while, obviously. It's been, quite a number of years that SIAM's been there. Why has it all of a sudden exploded on us? Why is it every conference I've been to in the last
couple of years, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
this
really
year,
the last 12 months.
12
Just
months.
this year, every conference has had so much.
Yeah, there's been
about
workshops
SIAM.
and talks
And just
keynotes.
today on our podcast, just about
Yeah.
every second person has wanted to talk SIAM. So why has it exploded this year? What's caused that? Any ideas?
Yeah. What we have seen is that the companies who have been outsourcing for maybe one or two vendors, they have outsourced a lot to one vendor or two vendors.
Yeah.
Now they are going to this best of breed thing that they will outsource,
Yeah.
getting the
Yeah.
best of breed services outside. So that
Yeah.
requires
Yeah.
control, and SIAM is trying to
Yes.
tackle that as a
Yeah.
framework.
Yeah, I concur with that. The data we're seeing now is that we're seeing people and businesses in line of business, not IT, and with some
Yeah.
shadow IT. I think Malcolm talked about shadow
Yeah.
IT earlier today. Shadow IT is driving instead of going from one vendor to mass number of
Yeah.
vendors. And I think controlling one vendor is not so bad. You can do
No.
it with a procurement
Yep.
department. Controlling 10, 20, 50,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
our vision,
It's-
1,000 in the
yeah.
future. You need some
It's-
tools to help
yeah,
you.
Yeah.
You certainly do.
And it's about supply chain management in a way, because one service can be provided by multiple vendors through the IT department
Yeah.
to the business. So there needs to be a kind of this management of that whole chain of information going on back
But
and
that's
forth.
interesting that you say that you can have such a large amount of suppliers that you work with. I mean, I just had this vision of it's a lolly shop of suppliers, and you get to choose
Absolutely.
Yeah.
what flavours and textures and things that you want. But at the same time, coming from a risk management perspective, having so many, do we really have the capability for that yet? To have that control?
Well, that's a great question. But if you look at the DevOps principles that are out there now, and we quote, for instance, you might go and look at what Amazon do in Amazon.com. They allow their teams to manage microservices, and they can choose whatever tools they want, any tools, any components, any pieces. They put it together, leading to a scenario like you've talked about, where
Yeah.
you've got a multitude of components. The end deliverable, though, is still the same. We're about delivering quality, consistency, and business value, and that's the metric rather than the tools on the way through.
Yeah. And it also comes down to the ownership of the data. What's been going on? How I've been interacting with my vendors for
Yeah.
last 3 years. If I want to swap the vendor with another
Yeah.
one, I need to know what kind of SLAs I've been getting in order to compare.
Yeah.
Well, how do I change if I don't know?
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But even as a service desk manager, some of my experiences have been that that supplier control. So if I'm managing a service desk, that contract is not usually sitting with me. It's usually sitting with facilities, or it could even be sitting with finance.
Yeah.
So they're running the vendor contract, not where it needs to be run.
Yeah.
So are you seeing it more strongly in operations now, where the service desk managers and service delivery managers have more control over those contracts and decisions versus them sitting elsewhere in the organisation?
Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
They're
It'd be a nice
responsible of that.
situation
Yeah.
for it to
You
be.
can-
Yeah.
Well, that's the
In a
interesting
way,
thing.
yeah.
But I've seen from a legal perspective that where they've been prevented from really having that type of control we're talking about that SIAM can give.
Yeah, I think that's
And
one
how?
of the aspects of enterprise service management, so that you need to have the contracts kind of implemented and the kind of
I think those contracts just about have to be at some central point, though. Too. I mean, I was working in an organisation a little while back and discovered that 3 different business units had 3 different contracts with the same supplier.
yeah.
So
I know, that's where I think it's a little crazy.
centralisation of that sort of thing has to be done.
Well, welcome to the new world.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
That's not going to be
No.
unusual going
No.
forward. But what is becoming usual in a SIAM model is the abstraction of the key elements up to a central model
Yeah.
or a central measuring area, which is
Yeah.
what you're seeing, I think.
Yeah. And also the measuring the SLAs, like you need your own language in
Yes.
order to understand what is the
Yeah.
what are the KPIs.
Yeah, what does it actually mean to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where you need like solution like Service Flow, that you can get the data. It's reliable, and you
Yeah.
can use your own language, not using service vendors' reports that they will send.
Yeah.
month after month, and then you try to somehow translate them to your own language.
Well,
and to your
it
organization.
really is about asking the question, isn't it? It's like, what do I need to know to make X decision
Yep.
or
Y
Y
decision.
decision, rather than some of these, the template reports have been great if you had nothing, if you weren't quite sure what you wanted, and it gave you something to play with until you figured that out, I guess. But I think we're way beyond that now.
Oh, we're way, way beyond
And
those sorts of reports.
so,
you get the information you need when you need it.
Yeah, exactly. That live data,
because your tools are
is going
flexible
to be
enough
much
now
more
to just-
powerful.
Yeah. You've got the tools that are flexible that can give you the information as and when you need it, rather than getting a printed report
Unlike
stuck on
the
your desk
old,
every
like,
Monday morning.
crystal reporting and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, the world's changed.
Yeah, we're
Yes.
no longer
Thank
in the
goodness.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're no longer in the days where you get what you get and you don't get upset.
Yeah, that's right. Well, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. It's been great chatting.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
you very
Thank
much.
you.